Oh my God. Hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Nika here. Happy Friday, TGIF. I'm back with your second neuro nugget of the day. And this one is gonna fire up a lot of you if you have brains, right? These are my opinions, these are my theories, these videos are for entertainment purposes only, but I am sure, I am positive that you already read my title. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. MPD found not one, but two knives, a K-bar, and they tested none of them. And in the early days, they were like, why aren't they looking for the weapon? Why aren't they looking for the weapon? Why are they content with the sheath? Well, could it be because they had two knives shoved away in their evidence drawers and never tested? Now, I'm going to be going over two redacted documents. You guys know I'm trying my very best as a regular, degular human being with regular, degular jobs and families and bills and responsibilities to try to cover as many documents as I can. And every time that I read one that stands out to me, guys, I'm on 167 out of 300 documents. I'm going to let you know when there is weird shit happening because so many people don't read these documents, right? And it's important we expose the trash, the horrible investigation that was done. At the end of the day, we are here for justice, right? For justice for the victims, the IDAHO4, for justice for the family members of the victims, moms, dads, sisters, brothers, cousins, lovers. But we're also here for maybe people that have been dragged down in this case, and maybe, just maybe, they were not even involved in the IDAHO4, yet they have been sitting behind bars for 2.5 years. To this day, we have no evidence pointing to Mr. Kohberger being actually involved in the crime. When the sentencing took place, what did we hear Bill Thompson say? They still cannot place Kohberger at 1122 King Road. Now, let's get into the first document, guys. I hope that you guys are as angry as I am. And the first thing that I'm noticing when I'm pulling up Law Supplemental Narrative 161 and 167 is that both were typed up by Detective Payne. This is very concerning. This is a lead detective. He is supposed to be in charge of a quadruple homicide, one of the most horrific crimes in the country. This crime has gone global. I know a lot of you guys are from other parts of the world, so it definitely garnered worldwide attention. And when we have Officer Payne typing up these documents and showing how they botched this investigation from day one, I think it's going to anger a lot of family members of the victims because they, deep down in their subconscious, I think, know that this was botched. And it's coming across as it was almost done so intentionally, and that's very problematic. So this is what it says, guys. Let's talk about the K-bars that they found, right? Now, these documents, remember, as I'm going through them, they are redacted. The names are redacted. So we can't really fill in the blanks. But we're going to call this person AL. And the narrative says, AL emailed a tip to the tip line on February 18th, 2023, and stated he was on Johnson Road on November 13th and saw a white car parked alongside the road between 5 and 6 p.m. that day. So, red flag number one. Why do we have this man that goes by AL calling the tip line 3 months later, well, 3 months and a week later, saying, oh yeah, I saw a suspicious white car alongside the road between 5 and 6 p.m. on November 13, post Idaho 4. Why are you calling the tip line 3 months and a week later? We know that memory alters. We know memories change over time. And the fact that you are calling 3+ months later is very concerning to me. Like, what is it in AL's heart that magically made him be like, my guilty conscience, I must confess. I must call the tip line. I must speak to the cops and tell them, confess what I saw. Why are you waiting 3+ months, bro? Red flag number 1. A lot of red flags with AL. Again, I don't know who this is, but it's also a pattern that I've noticed that when these cops investigate people, they don't record conversations. They should be recording conversations, especially when it's somebody who is acting a little bit out of character. Out of character would be like, you're calling the tip line 3+ months. You're saying, Bryan Kohberger, all these things. You're saying that you saw a knife. And this is what AL said. AL told me he had gone to his sister's house in Pullman, Washington on November 13, 2022, and was on his way home later that evening. AL told me he noticed a white foreign model car parked on the side of the road under a tree as he went by. AL told me he believed the time was approximately 5:30 p.m. AL stated he did not pay close enough attention to see anyone or near the car, but thought it was odd. Again, bro, you're literally calling cops 3+ months later and saying there was a weird car acting super suspicious on Johnson Road near Pullman. AL thought it may have been Kohberger's vehicle. Why would you think that it was Kohberger's vehicle? As it was on the Kohberger's path of travel the evening of the 13th. You just said it was a foreign model car, bro. Kohberger's path of travel on the evening of November 13th had been released way before February 13th or February 2023. So why are you now saying, red flag number 1, that, again, you called 3+ months later to the tip line? That's the first red flag. Second red flag is that you're now saying you think it's Kohberger's car. You think it's Kohberger's car. Let's see, because we have plenty more red flags to go through. I had AL describe the location to me, and he stated the car was under a large lone tree on Johnson Road between Johnson and Pullman. He added the pullout was located where Johnson Road changed from pavement to gravel. I located the location, described and responded there. I'm sorry, but how the fuck are we not supposed to question this man that's going by AL, who says he knows Kohberger? He's calling the tip line 3 months later, and he magically exactly remembers 3 months later that the car was under a large lone tree, right where the road changes from pavement to gravel. What a fucking coincidence. And Brett Payne says, I located the location, described, and responded there. Okay. Upon receiving permission from the property owner, JS, I began to dig in several areas which appeared to have disturbed earth, but was unable to locate anything of value. Sergeant Blaker and Detective Vargas responded with a metal detector and swept the area, but it did not discover anything of note. So for whatever reason, Brett Payne is like, no, I haven't acted on anything else. I haven't really acted on any of the other tips that actually kind of mattered. For example, the one where, somebody said they snuck into 1122 King Road because they hated lesbian girls and that they were going to unalive them, and that they could have unalived the girls if he would have wanted to, right? Brett Payne does not want to respond to those threats, to those comments, to those tips, but he wants to respond to this one for whatever reason. All right, Brett. All right, Bretty boy. And then he's like, all right, we know it's 3 months later, but let me take Officer Vargas and Blaker, and we're gonna need a metal detector. Let's do a sweep. What do they find? Nothing. Okay, this is where we get more red flags. Just wait, because while on scene, AL arrived and explained the vehicle was nose in off the road. So you still remember? How the fuck do you still remember that? 3+ months later, a random white vehicle. It was nose in off the road, facing the farm field. AL also stated he and a friend came to the spot, red flag, red fucking flag, several days later, and used the metal detectors to search the area. So you're telling me that Brett Payne isn't going to think this is an actual red flag? We have this person, Nose Koberger, saying it may be his car, doesn't file a report, doesn't report a tip until 3 months after, says he remembers everything clearly, but then is also literally confessing to Brett Payne that, oh yeah, by the way, before I got a hold of you guys, I actually went to the area with a metal detector myself. Are you fucking kidding me? You did all of that before deciding to call in a tip. Is it possible that maybe AL was hiding something? And just wait, because there's more red flags with AL. The biggest one of all is the K-bar. In addition to this information, during my initial phone call with AL, he told me he was painting the apartment of BK. Oh, really? The biggest red flag of all. So you actually were in BK's house? And you painted his apartment? He painted the apartment of Bryan Koberger, the previous tenant. So here we have AL, who is painting the apartment, the previous tenant, right? Because we know Bryan Koberger left there. So after he left, AL also painted his place. I'm sorry, but again, as somebody with hyper aware pattern recognition, call me neurospicy, call me neurodivergent, this is suspicious as fuck. AL is painting the apartment of Bryan Koberger after. And not only that, but AL stated he could see a knife blade in the gutter of the building from the apartment window. Wait, what? Wait, what? So, AL, you also magically happened to see a knife in the apartments that Bryan Koberger was living at in the gutter? Then why are you waiting 3 fucking months later to call in? I requested WSU PD respond and collect the item, which they later did. The blade is serrated, cooking style knife with the handle broken off. The blade portion was approximately 8 inches long and 2 inches wide. Holy shit. You know why holy shit? Because a lot of people have theorized that because of the wounds that were seen on some of the victims, it was probably more than one weapon. Not only that, but it was probably a larger weapon, a more dangerous weapon, something that could inflict much more damage than a K-bar. Here we have a cooking style knife without a handle broken off. That's 8 inches long, 2 inches wide per the WSU officers who collected it. But guess what conclusion Officer fucking Payne came to? Based on the description of the knife, I don't believe it matches the wounds found on the victims. How fucking convenient, Brett Payne. However, I'll still collect the knife from WSU as soon as possible to properly analyze the item. Was this actually ever analyzed? You know, we've heard of machetes, we've heard of whatever, and here is an 8-inch long, 2-inch wide weapon found in the same building that Koberger and some of you guys are saying Payne lived in. And here we have this person 3 months later saying, oh yeah, I painted Bryan Kohberger's apartment. Oh yeah, meaning what? Meaning you had access to his apartment. Meaning what? Did you frame Bryan Kohberger? Could you have maybe some of his DNA access? And then you also went to where you supposedly saw his vehicle under a tree on Johnson Road. And then before you called Brett Payne, before you submitted a tip, you did what? You went over there with a metal detector and a friend. It sounds like they're being sneaky. It sounds like they're hiding something. Are they working with Brett Payne? Were they working with Brett Payne? Are they friends with Brett Payne? What the fuck are they up to? Because it's looking very suspicious from my perspective, right? Now, wait a minute, because this was just a bunch of red fucking flags. Document 161. Now I'm pulling up supplemental narrative 167, written by guess who? Guess who? Baby Brett Payne, Lil Payne. You guys are calling him Lil Payne. This one is very, this one's even worse. This one's even worse. Okay. Item 668, knife. I was notified via email on Monday, March 20, 2023, of a found property call reported to LCSO where in the RP discovered a K-bar brand knife in some bushes in the city of Genesee, Idaho on the same day. Oh, wow, a second K-bar. Wow, a second knife, I mean. First one was kitchen, right? This is a K-bar. A K-bar brand knife in some bushes in the city of Genesee, Idaho on the same day. Per the LCSO call records, the knife was located by a child playing in some trees at the top of Ash Street near Spruce Street. Department or Deputy Whitting responded and booked the item into LCSO evidence. On March 21st, 2023, I responded to LCSO to look at the knife. The knife was a K-bar brand knife with a blade approximately 4 inches in length. The knife was in a black Kydex sheath with cordage wrapped around the handle. This knife did not appear to match the wounds inflicted on all 4 victims. So what exactly are you looking for, Brett Payne? What exactly are you looking for? Because here you have 2 knives. You're not happy with the 4-inch one. You're not happy with the 8-inch one. What the fuck are you using to rule these out? Because from my perspective and my personal opinion is that you're just like, yeah, let's not really test any of these knives. It doesn't look like any of these knives could have actually inflicted damage on the victims. I don't think that the knife matches the wounds inflicted. I collected the knife from LCSO, booked it into evidence on March 21st, 2023. I also attached a photo of the knife and the LCSO call record to this case file. Signed, Corporal Payne. He makes quite definitive statements about shit he has no idea about. Yes, exactly. It's like, as soon as he sees something, he's like, no, I don't think so. Fuck that. Fuck that. Let's not test that. We'll put it into evidence, right? We'll put it away into evidence, into storage, where that building caught fire. You know what I'm talking about. The storage unit where they were holding a lot of the evidence and the building caught fire. Let's do that. That's insanity. And when we talk about coincidences, the guilters are like, you just talk about coincidences and you can never name any. I'm like, baby boy, baby girl, go to my videos. I name at least one coincidence. You have 2 K-bar, you have 2 weapons that were found here. None really tested. Sure, they were booked. Did they catch on fire? Along with all the other evidence in that storage facility. And Brett Payne is just like, yeah, I don't really think that this K-bar matches the wounds, It just doesn't match the wounds. All right, Brett. What did you do? What did you do? Hello, Nadine. Hi, Nate. Hello, Monica. Hello, Kim. Welcome. Hello, Phonetics. Hello, Rise. Not that Karen. Crazy. Denny from Wisconsin. Oh, my gosh. Green Bay. Go, Denny. It's insane. And again, we don't know if Bryan Kohberger did this or not. We don't know. But what we do know is that there was so much and continues to be so much reasonable doubt throughout this entire case. We have untested weapons. We have Detective Payne ruling shit out for no reason. It's insane. Welcome, guys. Welcome, Phonetics. Welcome, Robert. Welcome, Layla. Kim B. Hello, Lisa. Hello, Kristen from Ireland. Hello, Justin. I do recall a body cam video where someone said a red vehicle was being cleaned out. I remember that, too. Tracy, what the hell is wrong with LE in Idaho? How can this kind of corruption go unnoticed and unchallenged? I personally believe that because it's such a small Children of the Corn-esque town in Idaho, in my opinion, they thought that they were just going to get away with this. And statistically speaking, this happens way more often than we would like. I just have a feeling that because of social media now, all of the corruption it gets exposed that much faster. But this has always happened. It's not that corruption is getting worse necessarily. It's just that we have the power to expose it because regular people like myself with regular families, regular bills, regular jobs are out here speaking out for the voiceless, right? We're out here calling out the injustice system that we have. Because, again, even if Bryan Kohberger committed this crime, they had nothing. They had literally nothing to arrest them, right? You can't go to Google. Go watch yesterday's live. I talked about Google and what happened, okay? This is how they found Bryan Kohberger. Google gave Moscow PD a list of the shit. Who Googled IDAHO4? Not before the crime. I have some people saying it was before the crime. I gave you guys the dates, the time in the video, okay? Moscow said, Google, you need to give me a list on whoever Googled IDAHO4. And from that list, they picked Bryan Kohberger. This is why every time that Ann Taylor asked, how did you get to my client? Bill Thompson stayed quiet because he would look like an idiot saying, well, from a Google list where, you know, thousands of other people were also on that list. Thousands of other people had also Googled IDAHO4, college campus stabbings, whatever else, right? Nate says, my question is, why the fuck is this one of the documents they released? They got thousands of tips and most are probably like this whack job. Very suspicious. Thank you guys for correcting me. ADD, yes, Brankopakas. Funny how a cop probably has very little experience at investigating a homicide, let alone forensic medical examination. And he's all like, well, I doubt the wounds match his knife. Right, that was not the job of Officer Payne to do. His job as a detective here is to gather all the evidence, put it away, and make sure that it gets tested. That's your job. Make sure that chain of custody is done properly and that things are not getting mishandled. But he didn't do that. He did not do that, right? But a trailer park also rings a bell. Isn't that where MM and her boyfriend or whatever lived? They did not use Tracy says, Let's hope that the exposure makes a difference. I see this kind of corruption where I live as well. I know why and how it exists here. People don't want to upset their belief system. Fools, exactly. From Belgium, hello phonetics. Kelly King, do we know if these two cops were fired from their job or forced to resign? Do they know they screwed up? Is that why these two have new jobs? I don't know. They like to keep those things pretty under wraps, right? Nate says, when I was in arson investigation school, we learned about it from a group of detectives that were taking the course too. Their power is wild. Yeah, it's crazy. So thank you guys for joining me. Please make sure to vote in the comment section as well as in the chat. Do you think that it is strange that here we have Brett Payne typing up Doc 161, 167, admitting that they found 2 weapons and he just brushed them off. He just said, probably doesn't match the victims. If you think that's fucking weird, please leave a 1. And if you think that's great investigative work by Detective Payne, him just brushing off the 2 weapons like that, please leave a 2. Suds, welcome. Sud says Juan. James, will Bethany ever come forward and explain what happened? I highly doubt it. Either she's a coward or she's involved or she just wants to pretend it never happened. Right? But in the sentencing, I don't know. It was weird. It was weird. Laura, there's a photo of another college frat guy with a knife. There's so many pictures. That's the thing. There was like, I don't know, at least a dozen people holding K-bars. It's weird. So thank you guys for joining me. Happy Friday. Make sure you leave a like, leave a comment, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Maybe I'll see you this weekend. Maybe I won't, but stay tuned because I'm going to be reviewing all of these documents on the weekend. So thank you guys for joining me. See you soon. Bye-bye.